Right, so today I'm training at Hippo's beach gym. So this place looks really chilled. Just found it on Google. It's about probably 7 or 8 minutes, maybe maximum 10 minutes from where I'm staying. And today I'm gonna be hitting some legs. So they're gonna be some like old school leg machines. And to be honest, as long as I've got some accessory stuff, I'm happy. But just proper tucked away down here. There's not much else around these streets, but really quiet. So I don't know if I'll actually do a voiceover or I might just do a commentary with the microphone when I'm in the edit. But yeah, either way, really cool spot. So let's get into it. Right then guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. So this one in particular is a leg day. And this is at a gym called, I think, Hippo or Hippo's gym. I'll put it in the description. So gym on Koh Samui Island, and a really cool gym. This one in particular has a lot of character. Look at this dog here, so cute. This is just one of the things that you love about these kind of family-owned gyms. They're just really friendly, and you know, they've got a lot of good things going for them. It's not just the equipment, it's the vibes, it's the overall just experience that you get when you go there. And of course they're very reasonably priced as well. So I'm just taking you around a quick tour here if you were interested in some more of the equipment, because obviously on Google sometimes it's very hard to see from the pictures. So as you can see here, a lot of the equipment is very old, and I will be honest, it isn't the best for going heavy. So I just take that into consideration if you're looking to do a really heavy plate loaded machine or something like that. They perhaps aren't the best for that. But in terms of just general workout accessories, as you can see here, I'm doing hamstring curls laying down, so this was great. This one in particular, I'm doing it on a regular speed, and then I'll basically speed it up, as you can see here, because the set goes on very long. So this is actually ×3 speed, so you can see actually how fast I'm going when I do this. And as you can see as well, the camera is a little bit steamed up because it is really that hot when you're training here. So they've got fans and stuff, but there is no air conditioning. You're basically just outside. As you can see, there's, you know, leaves on the ground. We're just right next to the trees and stuff, which is cool. It adds to the experience. But obviously, again, take that into consideration. If I was training for maximum strength and I wanted to be really well rested between sets and all that good stuff, then I'd want to be in an air-conditioned gym with a little bit more equipment variety and a bit more of a well-kept, well-maintained variety of machines. But obviously here I was dieting, and this works very well for me because I'm not trying to increase my working weight, I'm not trying to hit PBs, I'm just trying to fatigue the muscle, push it to and past failure, and basically just burn calories while doing so. So if I'm sweating more, if I'm basically having to not go as heavy but do higher reps, then that for me actually works out very well. Whereas if I'm trying to build muscle, I'm not going to just constantly want to be doing really high reps with loads of partials and lightweight and squeezing all the time. For me, that just doesn't always work. So I am a big advocate of lifting heavy when you're trying to build muscle. I do also think it's extremely important, of course, to do that when you're dieting, because you need to tell your body that it needs to keep that muscle in order to basically preserve all of the tissue. So you need to give it stimulus and do the similar sort of movements and weights that you were doing when you were bulking. But in terms of actual progression and really trying to push weight and reps each week, that's obviously more going to come when you are bulking. So don't be negative, guys. You can still gain strength on a dieting phase, but it's not going to be strictly muscle mass. It's going to be more so perhaps you being more efficient with the way you execute the exercise, or perhaps you become better with your breathing, or maybe you have actually just built up some new motor pathways to actually be able to execute that. There's many different ways that you can build strength, not just strictly muscle tissue. So you do need to make sure that if you are bulking up and trying to gain weight, you aren't just increasing your strength. You need to make sure that your actual scale weight is increasing as well. So weigh yourself daily after you've been to the toilet is the easiest time to do it, because then it's the same every single day. And also if you just do it basically, you know, in your underwear, it keeps it really simple, because then you're not adding extra clothes, which can really throw you off. So the more you weigh yourself, the less of a shock it's going to be if you have the odd high or low weigh-in, because then you'll know that it's a bit of an anomaly. Whereas if you only weighed yourself for that day for the whole week, it might be completely out of whack and not really in line with the average. So definitely weigh yourself as much as possible. And it's just like anything else, guys. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of that. So if you are being more conscious with your food tracking or with your weight tracking, then in the long term and in the short term, it's really going to help you out. And trust me, it does feel good to know that you're on top of all of your macros, etc. So looking at the session here, for that reason, I'm not actually able to do any heavy compounds. I tried to do the RDL on the Smith machine and it just wasn't working. I was going to do barbell. I think there was a reason why I didn't do it. I can't remember if my wrist was particularly sore or something like that, but there was a good reason for it. And pretty much just didn't fancy doing like a ridiculously heavy or high rep set on the squats or the leg press. So I just kept it simple today, guys. Did some accessories and it worked really well for me. So as you can see here, I've set up the camera for a few different angles. Obviously, I'm doing a voiceover because the gym was absolutely silent and it was just one of those sessions where I wanted to just put the headphones in and concentrate on the high reps. But for this session itself, I did loads and loads of sets. So I did at least 5 for the hamstrings and 5 for the leg extensions, but I think it was 7 for each. So just loads of accessories. And obviously, as I said, in the heat, it is really difficult. And at this point in time, I was on probably around 2,200 calories, perhaps. I don't remember the exact number, but I was doing around an hour of cardio each day, as you can see here, jumping on the seated bike at the end of every session and just getting it done. So I'll usually drink around half the electrolytes through the session, and then I'll have the other half kind of on the seated bike. And that just helps me replenish all of those storages of the electrolytes, the water that I've obviously profusely sweated out during this insanely high intensity session. And all of my sessions are high intensity, guys. So I wouldn't be having this amount of electrolytes if I was literally just doing a 45-minute session a few times a week or anything like that. But you know, training for 2 to 3 hours every single day, at least 6 days a week, and often doing extra walks as well, just walking around, you know, you do get very dehydrated. So it is in your best interest to make sure that you are supplementing those electrolytes in some way or another. If you guys do need to get any supplementation and electrolytes, creatine, magnesium also helps with fatigue if you are on a diet, then go to PROZIS and use my code GBFITUK. That's where I get my supplements from. But ultimately, if you do want to just pick up some supplements for yourself, as I said, creatine is a great supplement, and also magnesium glycinate. They can both help with your overall fatigue and energy levels. So in a diet, guys, you are going to be down low on energy. So don't just think that if you are tired, it's just because something's wrong. Obviously, there has to be a balance. So if you're drawing energy from your body, you have to give it from somewhere. But electrolytes isn't something which just has to be depleted. So that's why I'm telling you, if you do find yourself doing long, heavy training sessions, make sure that you are giving yourself enough hydration and in turn electrolytes to complete that session. So just going through a few poses here, pretty much the standard stuff. Obviously legs is what I changed, so I'm trying to highlight the hamstrings a little bit. You can see there's a few cuts coming in for the quads. That separation on the side is pretty cool, and also calves are starting to look a little bit lean here as well. So I'm training calves pretty much like 3 times a week if possible, but definitely twice. And I'm not really filming those because it's just pretty boring, but I do always prefer standing calf raise machine, but a lot of the time they just have seated. So, you know, if that's all I can get, then I'll obviously use that one. But another thing I thought would be worth mentioning is that even though I train legs here, I'll still go through a few upper body poses, especially for my back, because I find that it's really easy to practice posing and just engage those muscles when I'm not extremely pumped in my upper body. So yeah, just something you guys might want to try if you do a leg day. Perhaps afterwards just go through a few poses if you are bothered about that stuff. I'm not a bodybuilder, but I just still think it's cool to be able to, you know, bust out a few cool poses, especially when you've got a cool pump. So that helps. And as you can see here, I'm very depleted and, you know, very lean, pretty much. Not super lean, you know, I don't know what body fat level I was, but as you can see, you know, serratus anterior, my abs and my veins coming into my lower abs as well. Biceps, again, pretty vascular, and then back as well. Always does get quite lean for me. So yeah, overall, I think at this point in time, the diet is going very well, and it's a nice progression while still maintaining my strength. And also the main thing is that it's just actually attainable and sustainable for me. So I'm not killing myself. yes, the calories are low. Yes, these sessions are hard, but I'm enjoying it and I'm seeing the progress that I need and that I should be seeing. So if I hit a plateau, obviously I'll have to adapt. But until that happens, it's just a case of pushing through. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Drop a subscribe. And as always, the only way is up.